Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. I have a very special guest here. We're going to be diving into the art of feminine business and the energy of money. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and get to talk about my favorite subject, money.
Beautiful. I think this is a very favorite or non-favorite subject for a lot of people. And so that's why we're talking about this. And I wanted to bring Julie on because I talk a lot about receiving. And Julie talks a lot about the amount of money we receive or limited by. It's based on how much we're able to receive within ourselves. And so there is a lot of alignment here. Julie also dives into Akashic Records. And so this is something that is, I think it's really amazing to run your business when you're aligned with your soul's purpose and such. And so, Julie, please introduce yourself, tell the audience what you're all about.
Oh, thank you. That's such a big question. So I was raised the oldest of five children, three girls, two boys. And as adults, my dad sat us down one day and he said to my sisters and I think I made a mistake. I raised my boys to get along in the world and I raised my girls to be taken care of. And I realized that had gone against like everything I was striving for, but I didn't know how to change that in my life. So I grew up, I married my high school boyfriend right out of high school. He stayed a 12-year-old bully as I continued to grow. And after 20 years of an abusive relationship, I walked out completely broke and completely broken and realized that it really was up to me to create the life that I wanted. And I wanted something different. I wanted something that felt really amazing and juicy. And I started to do the work. And it took me a long time. But I learned, oh, I can support myself. I can make my own money. I can figure this out. I can support my children that I had. I had two graduated out of the house, two children, and it was not good for them, the whole thing, but we all got through it and I figured it out. And then I started to build my business. Now, one of the things that happened was when I started to build my business, I built it on this really masculine model. The model of push and grind and work a lot of hours and give up your weekends and don't stop. And I also built it hiding my own spirituality, hiding my connection to source. And my clients would come in and I'd talk about, let's build a funnel, or here's how you do your website copy. And I was good at that stuff. I'm still good at that stuff. But then I would say to them, oh, wait, we need to deal with your inner child first. Or, oh, let me pull a tarot card for that. And my clients were always like, whoa, that was great, but I didn't expect it, right? And so I was at a networking event with a group of 6 and 7 figure leaders in the coaching and self-development industry. And there were about 75 people in the room. We had broken into these small groups of, I think, 4 or 5 people. And I was talking about like how hard the business was and how uninspired I felt, and then how I snuck this stuff in like the back door. And one of the women says, you have to tell people this is what you do. You just have to. And I was like, I can't tell people I'm woo-woo. And another woman who's this very tall, deep voice, powerful woman looked at me and she said, but you must. And I thought, whoa, okay, that's the voice of God coming down. So I wrote an email to my list. I sat across from my husband at the breakfast table one morning and I sobbed. And he said, "Are you sure you want to send that email?" And I said, "I think I have to." And the email basically said, "I'm coming out of the broom closet. Here's my practices. Here's how I play with magic and play with money and design with source." And I thought I was going to crash my business. And I thought I was going to lose everything and have to get a job at Starbucks, and like it was going to totally mess up our life and all of that. And I pushed send and I went and I cried and I came back and people were like, "Yes, this is what we want. This is who we want." And that was like the first evolution of my coaching practice that really taught me this piece about being really authentic. And at that point, I started to have these conversations. Now, I was like this short of six figures at that point. I think like that year I made 96,000 the year I joined that group. And so I hadn't done a lot on that masculine model of push and grind. And I had to go back and learn that that's not the best way for the feminine. And it's not the best way to grow or enjoy your business or actually to bring in more money. And the more I relaxed into my own authentic self, my own practices, and shared that with my clients, the more money I was able to bring in, the more my abundance grew, and the more my understanding of money and abundance grew. And it's just been an amazing life since then.
I love that. I know we speak about this, have like the push and grind and the opposite of that. So, just for our listeners and viewers, please paint a picture of the difference between that masculine business model versus the art of feminine business model so people could really see the contrast of what that looks like.
Yeah. So, first of all, understand that the business world was designed for men. Men have a lot more testosterone than we do, so they can do the push. They can go further. And the masculine model looks like this. You go out, you find a problem, you come up with a solution, you design marketing, you push, 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 push. And then when you receive your result, you do it again and you push more. The feminine is designed to work in cycles. We are connected to the moon, we are connected to the earth, and the moon changes and the feminine changes, and so the earth turns. So we have a cycle, and our bodies cycle. Even post menopause, our bodies are still going through these energetic cycles where there'll be a time period where you are really inspired and on fire and you can push a little harder. And then there's a time period of ramping down and wrapping things up. And then we go into a quiet period. And this quiet period, the rest period, is the receiving. That's when we get downloads. That's when source speaks to us. And then we start to ramp up again into that very fiery, action oriented. And when we start to learn our own cycles, then that fiery, whether it be a week or a month, it's usually, this is a monthly cycle for women. We find that in that week, that fiery week, that full moon energy, and it's not always moon. I have clients that are like cockeyed to the moon cycles. Well, think about it as that fully expressed action out in the world period. We can actually accomplish more than if we just pushed through the whole cycle. And it is so important to allow ourselves to be in those rest phases. They are just as important because that's when inspiration comes. That's when source speaks to us. That's when our body gets a chance to just soften into a feminine superpower, into the creativity, the collaboration, the connectiveness that is the divine feminine flowing through us. And so if I'm planning a launch, I might look out when's the full moon, because I pretty much run with the moon cycles. When's the new moon? When's the full moon? Okay, here's where I want to do the push. Or sometimes I will be like, gosh, I'm just so tired this week. I don't nap and I need to go take a nap. What is that? And I'll look and it'll be like, oh, yeah, it's a new moon. And I give myself that spaciousness to be able to say, well, those 3 pieces of content I was going to write today, that's okay that I don't write them. Because if I push them out, if I sit down in a tired, uninspired space and I say these have to get done today, they're not going to be that good. This does not give us permission to just push it off forever. Like
Mhm.
those pieces of content, I know they have to get done, but maybe I can plan to get them done at a time when I know my energy is going to be higher because I have learned to follow my cycles.
Yeah, I've heard of people talk about the moon cycles, but less so having that sort of joined and integrated into business. And I'm hearing that depending on the moon cycles, and not everyone aligns to the moon cycle, and you support someone to figure out what that is, right? But I'm hearing sort of like three sections where there's a push, like a come down, and then a rest. Did I get that?
Yeah, there's actually 4 phases. So there's the new moon is the rest period and the receiving when the energy is coming into us from source, from our bubble bath, from laying on the dirt in Mother Nature. Then there's the ramp up week, which is this the waning moon. So the moon is getting smaller and smaller. And then there is, wait, waxing moon. The moon is getting bigger and bigger. And then in that full moon week is when we generally will have more energy and the energy can flow out of us. And then we wrap up in that fourth kind of quadrant. We start wrapping things up so that we can go into our rest period. So it's not masculine energy. If you think about it in terms of sexuality, masculine energy is like, boom, I'm ready to go. Bam, 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 right?
Hmm.
Um, Feminine energy needs that spaciousness. It needs to be seduced. It needs to be flirted with before it's in the full blossom. And then afterwards, I mean, it's that old joke on sitcoms that the girl wants to lay and cuddle. And the guy's like, I got things to do. And that's really how feminine energy works. And to really pay attention to that and to learn your cycles and then learn your cycles over the year. I know that I'm going to be less productive in July and August than I am any other time of the year. I know that I like ramping up in January when a lot of people are still in a recovery phase in January. My system says no, let's ramp up. Let's get some stuff done in January. And I do a lot in my business then. The things in my business that happen in December are things that we planned and created many months beforehand because I know where my energy is going in December.
Mm.
And it's going out, it's going to my family, right? So I've been in this business a long time. You know, there were dinosaurs roaming the earth. And so I've discovered, oh, here's some patterns. So if I'm less productive, you know, that end of July, early August, I'm okay with it. And we actually plan our Grammy camp when we bring the grandkids in to do something with them for that time period where I'm not going to be as focused in my business.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at that and I'm feeling into that and I'm deciding, okay, what's going to work for me, not for a million other people. That's the other thing about doing it the feminine way. I can tell
Hmm.
you all this by the moon, but you got to look at, does that work for me? Because we're all unique.
Yeah, yeah. And as someone that does human design, it's very much we're all very unique in our energy. And so when you speak about the moon, what comes up for me is that often the moon is associated with our emotions and things like that. So I'm just curious, like as you work with someone, how do you distinguish between the energy of emotion versus the psycho, or is it very correlated? I'm just curious.
That's a really good question because for me, an emotion is always a sign from our spirit, from our bodies, that there's something to look at there. Like an emotion is really like it's a gift. So when my clients come with emotions, I can say, let's look at that. Is that a protector part of you? telling you that somewhere your boundaries are being stepped on? Or is it a part of you that's outgrown its role? Is that emotion coming from a past life? And I think to answer your question, we can go back to maybe one of the superpowers of women is that we do have these cycles that bring those emotions up so that we can actually look at what's going on under the surface. We
Mhm.
can look at, is there a rule that has been handed down generationally that I'm bumping up against and it's making me frustrated or angry or just like on the edge of tears?
Mhm.
And am I more open to that because I am in that point in my cycle? And can we then go do whatever's appropriate for that emotion, whether it be reintegrating a lost part of ourselves or letting go of a past life vow or just loving some part of ourself, healing something in us, like what's appropriate. I'm not going to always say that emotion means you need healing because sometimes it's just a gateway to something else. And so how do we use our emotion as a tool for bringing us into the next stage of our vision, because it is a superpower that women can access their emotions.
Yeah, and it is so true to develop a new relationship with our emotions. And it's so interesting just bringing in the cycles of the moon. Yeah, thank you for sharing that and painting that picture, Julie. And I'm curious, like, what type of clients do you tend to work with? And when they come, what are some of the common, like, maybe challenges that you're seeing again and again?
Yeah, those are great questions. So I love working with women entrepreneurs who are building soul fueled businesses. I call them my witchpreneurs. So they have this connection to source and they're doing their own magic. And they really come because they know they are here to do something on the planet, something big. And they're not quite sure how to build that, how to create a business out of that. One of the things is because they are so soul fueled, they're so connected to source that they speak in what one of my clients used to call angel tongue. So they talk about the transformation they provide. You get to live, and you've heard this out in the marketplace, live your best life. That doesn't mean anything. Change your relationship with yourself. Okay, fine. Why? Right? And so they're speaking in this angel speak that you and I who do this work, we're like, yes, I want a better relationship with myself. Yes, I want to access source. Yes, I want more confidence. Yes, I want to release my energy blocks. But to the people who haven't been doing this work for 10 or 15 or 25 years, or however long I've been doing it, those words don't hold the same meaning. And so we have to translate that into muggle. What is the thing? And this is something anybody can take. What is the thing that wakes your people up at 3 a.m.? And that is the thing you are here to solve by helping them gain confidence, by helping them connect with source, by whatever it is that you're doing. So when I look at my own business, my mission is to get more money in the hands of more women. I've discovered that having your own business is a great way to do that. So I coach business women or the witchpreneur. My underline under all of that is that I truly believe that when women are able to connect to source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, that is how we heal the planet. That is how we stop the horrible things that human beings are doing to each other on the planet and the horrible things we are doing to the planet herself.
Mhm.
Now, I don't advertise that, hey, when you come into my programs, you're going to heal your connection to source so that the planet heals. Because people are not waking up in the middle of the night going, oh, that's it. If I just heal the planet by healing myself, we'll be great. People are waking up in the middle of the night going, I have been at this business for 3 years or 5 years, and I know people are making that kind of money, and I'm not. How do I get there? I know people are bringing in clients. Why can't I even get a client on my list? That's what's keeping them up. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to retire? How am I going to take the summer off to play with my kids? Those are the things that are waking them up. And I know that if I do my transformation, those problems will be solved. So I can talk specifically to my clients about what it feels like to wake up at 3 a.m. going, what's going on with my money?
Hmm.
And can I afford to stay in this business much longer? So that's the doorway I bring them in. And if your clients are out there with any of these things, they can start by saying, or any of our listeners who are out there, they can start by saying, wow, what is it that keeps my people up at 3 a.m.? And it's that finger pointy, they don't get to pick their kids up after school and take them to the park and hang out with the other parents chit-chatting while the kids play flag football. Or, as my granddaughter did, set up a lemonade stand, hire her friend to sell lemonade for her, and then go play flag football. Like, you build that story and what it's like to be able to be there and do that because you've built a business that allows you to work part-time and make six figures. People
Hmm.
go, oh, yeah, that is what I want. You get me.
Yeah, I mean, it's commendable, right? Really want to get that money in the hands of women. And I think what I'm hearing is like very important to do market research and speak a different language to who you're wanting to reach is a big part of what you're supporting people to really get into the pain, if you will, is kind of what I'm hearing. And let's dive into the energy of money. Like the what are the energetic principles, if you will, to really open your channels to receiving more money so it could actually flow to you?
Yeah, I think the first thing is understanding the nature of money. So, money is an energy, and we assign so much meaning to that. Money is the root of all evil, or all rich people are evil. I don't want to be rich because I don't want to be one of those. I don't want to be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. And I hear that from people, and I'm like, then don't be. Be Melinda Gates, or what is her name? Mackenzie Bezos, who's giving all their money away. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, she's giving all that money away that she got in the divorce. Be that person. Have more money flow through you. So understand. I'm sorry, I got on a soapbox there. Um, so number one, money is an energy. It has no value, good or bad. What we do with money is what puts that energy on it. As an energy, it comes from source. Source is pure love. Source is creative energy. Source is what we are all made of. If we are made of source energy and money is made of source energy, then we can align to money. And the more money we bring in, the more we are able to live our mission into the world. So that's number one. Number two, as an energy, we can practice opening to receive more. And I'm going to give you just a couple of simple opening to receive practices. Think about the last time you went to the grocery store and there was a beggar there, and the beggar said, can I carry this out for you? And what do most of us do? We say, no, I am woman. I carry bags myself, right? We go into this kind of caveman stance of let me prove that I am a good person. I can carry my bags instead of receiving the help. Like those guys are there to carry your bags to the car. They like getting out of the store. So, one of the ways to start receiving is just to say yes when people make an offer. I used to do this with my husband all the time. He'd say, let me do that for you. And I'd be like, I can do this. And now I'm just like, sure. Hey, I'll receive that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We want to open to receive. Somebody says, wow, that is a beautiful color on you. And we go, this, right? And we close, and you see even how your body closes up instead of going, oh my gosh, thank you. I received that. That feels so good for you to compliment me. And we do that because we're taught not to take a compliment. But you want more money? Start receiving compliments. Start taking
Mhm.
them in. Start taking in help. Money on the ground. I pick up change on the ground all the time because it's part of my receiving practice. Look, somebody left me 3 pennies on the ground. I am so happy and grateful now. right? And I pick it up with that gratitude and that acknowledgement that this is a small piece of the overall abundance in my life that is coming to me and is here now. And so things like that, those all open your body up. And whenever you feel yourself doing the kind of scrunching into yourself, know that you're stopping the flow of money. So, what makes you open? What physically opens you to feel good? I love
Mm,
this practice of going and laying on the earth and just allowing the earth to flow, the mama earth energy to flow through you. That's another practice of receiving. So looking at not only where am I not receiving money wise, but where am I not receiving anything? Where am I,
mhm.
deflecting or shielding? I remember once years ago, I was receiving a community award and it was a big deal. And I remember my acceptance speech was something like, you guys should not be acknowledging me. Let's acknowledge the committee and I totally deflected the whole thing
Mhm.
instead of being able to say, thank you. I think about Sally Field's famous Oscar speech where she said, "You like me, you really like me." I mean, for her, that was like finally receiving that, oh, her work was good. And you see how we are not taught to do that and how amazing that feels when someone does that.
Yeah, it's so true how unconscious these things we do are. And I'm really passionate about supporting clients to open and receive. And so I love that you're speaking about this. These are the simple, everyday things that we are technically working on our business, if we will, right? Yeah. And I'm curious if you could speak to some money practices. I mean, there's the energy and then there's the actual money practices. So I'm curious if you could dive into some of that.
Yes. So there's a couple of really basic money practices. Number one, track your money every day. And you don't have to track the outflow. I do that once a month because I pretty much know what's going out, but you want to keep an eye on it. You want to track it. Track what's coming in every day with gratitude, whether it's a $500 check for a class or a $25,000 check for a program or 3 cents you pick up off the ground. It's money coming in. So I keep a little spreadsheet on my desk. And whenever money comes in, I just track it and I give it gratitude because what you focus on, you attract more of. So that's number one. Number two, I talk to the energy of money. I'm like, okay, money, where am I blocking you today? What else do you want from me? Is there another way that I can be using you that's more effective or more life giving to myself or the planet? What do you want me to know about debt? I actually got rid of my debt, all except for my mortgage, from talking to money about what debt meant and how it really worked, not how the patriarchy or the system has taught us that it works, but how money says we're missing a whole point, the whole point. So that's number two. And then the third one is really just practice receiving, practice, practice, practice.
Mm, beautiful. And so, how does the Akashic Record side of things play out? Like for someone that maybe doesn't know what that is, and so how do you bring that together as you work with your clients?
So the Akashic Records is really the record of your soul's journey through time, space, and dimension. Now, that's pretty vast. So when we access it, we have to be pretty specific about what's going on. And the record keepers can look. So I had a client earlier today. We were talking about some stuff, and I said, "Hey, does that emotion belong to you?" And when I checked the records, it wasn't her emotion. It was an ancestral thing. I think it was her mother. I'm being really careful about confidentiality.
Hmm, hmm.
But so oftentimes it's like, no, that's my mother's voice coming through me. Great. If you are holding your mother's emotions for her, we can let those go. We can just let go of that. You don't have to carry that. Sometimes it's from a past life. A lot of my women lived past lives as witches. And
Mm,
so they have what I call the witch wound, which basically says, oh, it was really dangerous to be visible with my magic and to share it. I'm going to stay really small and really hidden and really invisible in the next life. And there's this vow taken to hide their magic. And then they get started in a business and they're like, why won't it grow? Oh, it won't grow because your soul is keeping you small because it thinks that's how to be safe.
Hmm.
So in the Akashic Records, we can actually go and release those vows and let them go and create safe pathways forward where you can be visible, where you can be big, where you can build what you actually came to the planet to build and do the work that you came here to do and be financially rewarded very well for doing it. So I use the Akashic Records that way. Sometimes it's going back the lineage because we carry these family rules. I grew up with this family rule: don't outshine the golden child, which is my little brother. My mother actually calls him her golden child. And
Mm.
to our face, so talk to your brother, the golden child. Right, mom? That's right. Right. And so for me to create the business and the income, I had to go back and unwrite that rule in my own lineage that said, don't outshine the golden child.
Hmm.
Right. And so a lot of times we're doing that work, and the Akashic records are really great at pointing out, oh, it's here, or it's here, or this is the incident. Let's look at that. And then let's rewrite everything around that. And we can then rewrite the rules, we can rewrite the beliefs, and we can release what's holding us back by working there. And it's faster in the records than when I would do this work previously without the records. So
Mm.
they're really a great, it's like when I used to read tarot, I used tarot as a shortcut to get to spirit because I wasn't as practiced back then. So the Akashic records are now the next step where, hey, we can do this work even faster.
Yeah, and I think many of us, we may hit some sort of block, and it's like sometimes we focus on mindset and changing beliefs, but it's more of a conscious level. And I love Akashic records and even the face and body, like the our body holds a lot of the past lineage things too. And it's like there's more than one way to definitely get to these places of what is more not at the conscious level, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I just wanted to put that spin on it so to support people in understanding like there's more to us than just what we see and what meets the eye, and to be able to bring all aspects of ourselves into business and very much your journey, Julie. And so it's beautiful
Yeah.
that you're stepping into your authentic leadership and helping other women to do the same. So beautiful work you do. One question I want to highlight here, I think it's really good for the audience to hear, is what is the big money that you created from walking your clients through these different practices, from someone that maybe didn't know how to receive to applying these practices, and what flow came through?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, sure. I'll say it differently. Essentially, I'm asking like from these practices that you teach your clients, like what money were you able to create
Oh,
for
okay.
yourself or for your clients, for someone that didn't start off knowing how to receive, for example? What does that look like? Is it usually a trickle? Is it a big opening? And yeah, and it probably is different for everyone.
It's
So go
different
ahead.
for everyone, but I'll tell you a story. When I got together with my current husband, we he bought a house for us to live in, and he bought it a week before the market crashed. So we lived in this house for, I can't even tell you how many years, underwater, like always underwater, and it needed a lot of work. And finally, we decided that we were going to let it go, and we were going to have to short sell, which meant it would be 3 years before we could buy something else. But I wanted to live here where I am now. So when this unit came up for sale, I said to my girlfriend, show me the house. She's a realtor. And we walked through it, and she and my husband went, you could do this, and this room could be this, and you could do this, and you could do this. And I said to them every time, we're not ready for that. I can't do that. And finally, my husband looked at me and said, stop it. You know how to manifest. Go do your thing. And it took us 8 minutes to get from here to our house. I had three plans in mind, put the first one in place, put in an offer. Within 5 weeks of We did 5 weeks to closing. I manifested everything I needed for a down payment on a house on the central coast of California. So it was a lot. And then before we moved in, I manifested enough to do a 7-week remodel and redo all the bathrooms, the floors, the paint, everything. And that was just turning to my money practices and creating that for myself. And I've done that over and over and over in lots of different ways when something has popped up for me. And so I've seen my clients do that as well. And I have a client who we were in the middle of a money class, and she's told this story publicly, so I can. And she was flown out to the Midwest somewhere where they said to her, "Leave your company computer, we're firing you." She came home. She said to the class, "Okay, I just got laid off." And we all went, and she went, "I'm starting my own consulting firm." And within 3 months, she had manifested a consulting gig that was more than her annual salary used to be. And she continued to just create really great things by putting these practices in place. Now, she put the practices in place, right? I put the practices in place. I could have continued with, "I can't, it's not time," instead of saying, "Wait a minute, how can I?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the big shifts.
Beautiful. Yeah, I always love to hear these stories because it's like a reminder that magic can happen. And you are the source of that magic of creating the receiving. And so that's so beautiful. Now, I know you have a quiz for people that are listening in that want to find out a little bit more about themselves. So I'm not really sure what it's about, but please go ahead.
It's a really cool little quiz. It's 7 questions. And what it does is it shows you your unique witchpreneur type. What is the best strategies? And I don't want to say they're formulas, but like, what do you want to look for your unique type for making money? What are the rhythms in your life you want to look at? And each of us is different, but there's some commonalities between these different witchpreneur types. So somebody who's a wild enchantress is going to build a business differently than somebody who's a shapeshifter. There are different principles for them. There are different ways of bringing in more money and different practices for them. So that's what the quiz is all about. And we get these really cool names like Wild Enchantress and Wise Sage.
Yeah, quizzes are fun. I think that's what's a really good thing to do to really get inspired and have like a little splurb up the end. I think all of us like that. So I'll definitely keep it in the show notes for those that are interested in doing that. Definitely, if you feel like stuck in your money and you're someone that wants to invite more woo and just lead your business, being your authentic self, definitely reach out to Julie. It sounds like she's got a lot figured out in this area and to, yeah, really step into more receiving because we deserve it. And so, Julie, if someone wants to get a hold of you, where shall they go for that?
So we have a Facebook group. The Facebook group is Feminine Business Magic. We do a lot of this fun money making stuff in there. So I encourage people to show up there, or they can just check me out. It's Julie at juliefoucht.com. And if you want to know more, send me a note.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. I just curious, Julia, any last words that come up for you to share, or do you feel complete?
Yeah, money always has this message that comes through, which is money loves you. Money wants to be a partner in your business. Money wants to help you build a wild, juicy, amazing life. And so just relax into that as you take your next step forward.
Thank you. Thank you for that message. I love how that landed. So, thank you everyone for tuning in today. And thank you, Julie, for spending your time and energy and money resonance with us. And I look forward to chatting with you moving forward. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to number 1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.